Hi, I'm Phileas Steyn and I'm the Safari expert. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 reasons to get rid of your DSLR and to switch over to a mirrorless camera. And if you watch to the end of the video, I'll also share with you 10 of my favorite photographs that I've recently taken with my very own brand new Canon R6 mirrorless camera. Now, before we get started, as always, remember to check out the description below for any important links and information, including all the information about my online photography courses and also my supporters page where you can buy me a coffee. If you enjoy this video, remember to also like it, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to leave a comment below. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I'm a wildlife photographer that's been taking photographs for well over 2 decades. And I can clearly remember in about 2006, 2007, how resistant I was to switch from film cameras to digital cameras, mostly because I was worried about image quality. Now, 15 years later, I've gone through exactly the same thing, where I've been very hesitant to get rid of my DSLR camera to buy a mirrorless camera. Until a month ago, that is, when I finally traded in my trusty old Canon 5D Mark IV for a brand new Canon R6 mirrorless camera. Now, let me give you the 5 reasons why I switched and why I think you should consider it as well. Now, the first reason is something you may never have considered before, and that is that the second-hand value of your DSLR is decreasing every single day. Now, when I walked into Outdoor Photo in Pretoria the other day, and that's the store where I buy all my camera equipment, I asked the salesman what they would offer me for my Canon 5D Mark IV. Now, as it turns out, because so many people are currently selling their DSLRs and buying mirrorless cameras, the demand for second-hand DSLRs is drastically declining. So what it basically means is that every day that you hold on to your DSLR, it becomes less valuable. So if you ask me, you're better off selling it now and getting something decent for it that you can put towards buying the new mirrorless body. The second reason that I think you should get rid of your DSLR and switch over to mirrorless is simply because it's got the latest technology. If you think about it, if you're a big camera manufacturer like Canon, Nikon or Sony, and you've got a limited budget that you can spend on the development of the camera and the functionality and technology, you're obviously going to spend it on the cameras that are most popular now. And in this case, it's mirrorless cameras. That just means that if you buy a new DSLR, it won't necessarily have all the amazing functions that a mirrorless will have. For instance, the amazing eye-tracking focus capabilities of some of the newer mirrorless cameras, where you simply tell the camera to focus on the eyes of a person or even an animal. What makes that so amazing is that you don't have to worry so much about the focusing and you can really concentrate on the composition of your photographs. And if you ask me, that alone is almost enough reason to switch. Now, the third reason is something that I know a lot of you worry about, but I can safely say that mirrorless cameras now have the same, if not better, image quality than DSLRs. Now, I used to photograph with some of the best DSLRs out there, including the Nikon D850, which I think is one of the best DSLRs ever made, as well as the Canon 5D Mark IV. And both of them had incredible dynamic range and, more importantly, low noise levels at high ISO values. Now, like I said before, luckily the newer mirrorless cameras have equal, if not better, image quality, and for me, that was something that was very important to consider when I made the change. The fourth reason that I think you should consider switching from DSLR to mirrorless is the extremely high frame rates that you can photograph at. Now, in a DSLR, you're very lucky to get 10 frames a second when you're photographing in RAW, whereas in mirrorless cameras, you can easily shoot up to 20 frames a second. And some of the more expensive models like the Canon R3 or the Sony Alpha A1, you can even photograph at 30 frames a second. And that just means that when you're photographing a sequence of shots when you see any kind of action, whether that be wildlife, sports, or an event, it gives you a better chance to get that money shot. And the fifth reason that I switched from DSLR to a mirrorless camera had to do with the fact that when I changed my exposure compensation, I can actually see it through the electronic viewfinder. Now, at the beginning, when mirrorless cameras first came out, I really didn't like looking through an electronic viewfinder. Those of you that have looked through the viewfinders of those early models will know exactly what I'm talking about. It looks very weird and almost makes you nauseous. Certainly doesn't look as good as it looked through a DSLR. But I'm happy to say with the newer models, I don't see a difference at all. And like I said, what makes it so wonderful is the fact that when you change the exposure compensation, you don't have to remove your eye from the viewfinder. You can literally see the photograph getting lighter or darker. Whereas in the past, with a DSLR, you would have had to take your eye off the eyepiece, press the playback button, see what the result of the exposure compensation was, wasting a lot of time. Let me know in the comments below whether these 5 reasons were enough to help you make up your mind to switch from DSLR to mirrorless. And if you can think of any other advantages or even disadvantages, add those in the comments as well. And as I promised in the beginning, here are 10 photographs that I photographed very recently with my brand new Canon R6 mirrorless camera. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing to the channel, and leave a comment below. Also take a moment to check out some of my other videos.